Hey, happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to the Guitar Q&A live stream. And we got some good questions coming in right away. TJ252 asks, you're a blues guide, talking about the free blues guide right there. We're talking about how you can get it for free. Your blues guide calls for slides from 2 to 4 and back from 4 to 2 in a number of licks. You got it. I'm okay with 2 going up to 4, but have trouble with 4 going back to 2. It sounds much weaker. How can I improve this slide? Yeah. In fact, I think one of the very first things, the smokestack lightning riff, right? Yep. So let's see. In principle, they should be equally easy or equally difficult, depending how you look at it, right? I'm going to venture a guess. Fatigue. You just successfully pressed your, I would suggest middle finger, pressed your middle finger so hard as you slid over those bumpy frets on the G string, the 3rd string from 2 to 4. And you got a good sound because you can only get a good sound by putting on some extra pressure as you slide. And that when you went to go back again, you were spent, you know? So my first answer is don't lose steam, don't lose energy. You've made it this far. Just, grit your teeth and get back there. And you're going to end up with a nice line. Look at that in the high def camera. Look at that nice line in your middle finger. And that's a good thing. You definitely should be doing it as a downstroke. So if for some reason you're doing an upstroke as you began your slide from 4 to 2, that could get a slightly softer sound, but I bet it's that finger just being fatigued. It could be psychologically that you're already thinking about the next note in this particular riff and lots of riffs, which is the open G string, open, and that you're already sort of letting go of the string essentially before you actually land squarely on the 2, maybe. So my suggestion would be, I always think you should isolate something, right? Isolate this move, let's call it a move, but let's not even do the 2nd string note. Let's just really isolate it into the 3rd treble string, the G string, definitely middle finger. Oh, we're using your middle finger both times? You should be, right? Middle, or at least, I don't know if I actually said that in the book, but you definitely should be using your middle finger. Middle finger going up from 2 to 4, and later, back down. Okay, so my point is isolate it. Middle finger 2 up to 4, and 4 back to 2. Just isolate it. It's going to start being tender, quote. I'll say that to some of my younger students. I say, "Oh, are your fingertips feeling tender?" And in reality, they're thinking, this hurts. I'm like, yeah, tender. Yeah. So isolate it and listen to it. Those are my thoughts off the top of my head. And just to be clear, the first time that move shows up in this book is the smokestack lightning riff. Let's see if we can get that centered. Okay. Where are we? Right there. There it is. And now is a good time to talk about this because TJ, you figured it out. But see how like that 4 just has a little slash mark in advance. Hold on, let's get this looking better. There we go. When you see a slash mark in advance of a note, it means you slide into that note from a nearby fret, and it's a fast slide. But it doesn't tell you where to start, right? Take my word for it, and take TJ's word for it. That sliding from 2 up to 4 is a good distance away. But if they don't tell you where to begin the slide, you decide where to begin. But number 1, choose a nearby fret, like 3 up to 4, 2 up to 4. And secondly, know in advance that it's going to be a fast slide. This would be an example of a slow slide. right? Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that's the right thing to do. In this case, you're sliding so fast that the listener doesn't have time to register where the slide is beginning. And same thing with that slide right there. It just says to slide quickly down to 2, which is great. It happens that your middle finger was already on 4, so common sense says you start from 4 and slide back. Nowhere on here does it tell you which finger to use, so you're not missing anything. You're like, how did he know to use his middle finger? It doesn't tell you. Ooh, you know how you could tell? I made a video that goes along with this. Okay, now is as good a time as any to tell you that you can have this book for free. It's not a big, thick book. Look at that. But everything that's in there is so good. There's so much good stuff. Scales, riffs, songs. Okay. In the chat, I'm about to put the address of where you can get your own copy of the PDF. Now, this is not a hard copy, folks. It's an electronic copy that you can print out if you want to. Okay. Head over to www.song-bike.com. The first thing you're going to see is a place for you to put in your name and email address, and within seconds, this blues guide will show up in your email inbox, and you can start having fun with it. The video that accompanies this, where you will see my middle finger sliding up and so on, is on my YouTube channel, which is right here. You're at my YouTube channel, right? And it's one of the most recent videos I posted. So you might have to scroll down 1 or 2 videos, but you will see the video that accompanies every example in the blues guide. All right, TJ, you're welcome. TJ says, thanks for the tips. I hope those help. It's a great question. And I say hello to Bill Collier. How are you, sir? Walter, hello. Bruce, all the way from Sydney. Bruce, where's Byron? You know, we can't have a show without Byron. Tell him tell him to get off his devices and come onto this device right here. Jerry from Republic, Missouri. You know, you guys. I love seeing where you guys are tuning in from. I love it. I am still in small town, Connecticut. Imagine if that was actually the name of like where I was, small town. Currently broadcasting to you from my Elm Street studio in Old Saybrook, Connecticut, home of Katharine Hepburn. That's our claim to fame around here. Katharine Hepburn spent a lot of her life, including her later years, right here in this town. I'm looking out a window, and without a doubt, at some point, Katharine Hepburn walked down this road. I have no doubt. Walter is tuning in from Texas. Stephen Mannion is pointing out we got a little bit of a different axe tonight. I brought my metal body dobro guitar, and just for this occasion, I tune it to standard tuning. Usually I have it in open tuning to facilitate some nice slide sounds. But you can play slide in standard tuning. It's just not as cool as doing an open tuning. So for you guys today, I thought I'd throw a little curveball at you. A metal body dobro guitar, and made by the Dobro company. So in the chat, who knows where the name Dobro comes from? See that in the headstock right there. Where are we here? Dobro. There we go. What a weird name. So where does it come from? You guys know that. Dobro. I'll tell you in a moment, but I bet someone out there knows. What do we got? We got 30 people watching already. Holy cow. I feel like I turned around, looked behind me. All of a sudden, there's 30 people there. Brian is tuning in from Dumbarton, Scotland. That blows my mind. Brian, someday I will buy you a beer and you will buy me a beer, or something else. I would love to visit. Now that was not the only question of the early questions that came in. Michael Fisher asked a great question. Michael, I got your email and I took a screenshot of it, and thank you for asking it again in the chat here. But I have it. I did a screenshot of your email, like I said. Okay. Michael is reacting to, and forgive my show and tell, Michael's reacting to the DCG trick. And bear with me, you guys. You know, I can't resist. Okay, the DCG trick right there, right? Okay, so what is the DCG trick? And I'll show you real quick, and then we'll get to Michael's very good question. The DCG trick is an extremely common chord progression that shows up in a lot of famous songs. It involves the regular D chord, good old D major, D as in Delta, a C add 9 chord, which is simply a variation on a C chord. Ring finger, a second string, B string, 3rd fret. Index finger, 4th string, D string, 2nd fret. Middle finger, 5th string, A string, 5th fret. C add 9. You strum everything but the low, heavy 6th string E. And lastly, a 4-finger G chord. 4 fingers, pinky and ring finger. They're taking care of the 2 treble strings, 3rd fret. Index finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. Ring, middle finger, 6th string, 3rd fret. Okay, so the DCG trick. And Michael is making a good point, and it's kind of a follow-up on something that we talked about last time. Doing hammer-ons with these chord grips. And I'm going to use that 4-finger G to illustrate this, Michael, rather than the C add 9, but I could do it with the C add 9 as well. Okay, so I got my middle finger on the 6th string, 3rd fret, and most importantly, we're going to talk about the 5th string, 2nd fret with my index finger. Okay, so there's my 4-finger G chord. And Michael was having an issue that we all have, and I'm only 50% confident I'm not going to have it right now. When you want to do something on the 5th string, such as a hammer-on from 0 to 2, but your middle finger potentially could lean over, and you go to do your hammer-on, you get this sound because the middle finger is touching it. Okay, so what's the solution? The easiest solution is just to take that middle finger off completely for that brief moment when you're about to do a hammer-on on the 5th string. So in slow motion, watch this. I'm going to do a boom-chick kind of pattern where I hit the 6th string with a downstroke and a nice little brush on the treble strings, a single brush, and then a hammer-on on the 5th string, open, and then hammering on firmly with my index finger at the 2nd fret, and I'm going to follow that with a brush. Here's the effect. Okay, so you can see how I was lifting off my middle finger right at this point where I'm about to do the hammer-on the 5th string. Is that cheating? Nah. I mean, kind of, but nah. I'm not using that 6th string anyways. It does require me to get back to that 6th string confidently and quickly to make it in time for the next. In fact, now that I watch myself on the monitor here, I'm not even keeping my index finger down until my index finger is off the guitar at the moment, until I hammer on right there, because my little strums don't even include that string anyways. Okay, so my point is, that's one way to safeguard against that middle finger leaning over and touching, make sure it's off the guitar when you go to do it. Okay, second thing is sort of the adult approach, which is really, really, really doing your absolute best to stay on the extreme tip of your middle finger. Really arch your knuckles over the strings, talking about your middle finger specifically now. So it simply doesn't touch the neighboring 5th string, the A string, right? That takes more practice. Is it worth it? Oh yeah, sure. But nothing wrong if I were, say, filming a YouTube video and I wanted to 100% guarantee I wasn't going to have to do a second take because my middle finger leaned over and touched that string. I call it abandoning the string, to abandon it right here. And then I put it back down, because I'm 99.999% confident this problem is not going to happen. And then I don't have to do another take of the video, because I know how I get take 17 of a video. That's why these live streams are so fun. I can do all sorts of goofy stuff, and I can't go back and fix it. What a relief. What a relief. Because if I'm given the opportunity to go back and fix stuff, I will do it. And hours go by. Makes me crazy. Okay. So both ways, both solutions are valid, and the same thing would go for the C add 9. Um, you know, uh, you're allowed to take that finger away so it doesn't touch that neighboring string. And you also, in principle, should practice and practice and practice so you know it's not going to touch anyways. And Michael, you had another question, which was simply getting used to that pinky, being on that treble string, E string, 3rd fret, which for sure it's going to be there for the D, the 4-finger D chord for sure. That's the 4th finger. So it's called a 4-finger D, G, 4-finger G chord. And for the C add 9, it's optional. So the C add 9 I described to you guys a minute ago, you could have the pinky on the 1st string, 3rd fret, right from the very first moment you ever play the C add 9. In which case, it looks an awful lot like the 4-finger G. Ring and pinky are in the exact same place, whether it's the 4-finger G, or I think in this book I call it C add 9 type 2, for lack of a more poetic name. Just to be sure, C add 9 version 2. Ooh, version 2. Okay. It doesn't change the overall harmony. It gives it a nice kind of ringing sound, but it's optional. Okay, so I hope that those things address what you're talking about, Michael. Yes, these are extremely common things. Which gets me to one of the things I want to talk about, and therefore it gets me to the whole list of things I want to share with you guys today. In between your questions, so keep the questions coming in, okay? All these little topics on my list, I only do this just in case the questions aren't coming in fast enough. And so I have a bunch of things. I have my agenda. Okay, so Michael, you were reminding me. One thing on my agenda tonight is I jokingly call it what guitar teachers are actually thinking, quote, quote, what we're thinking when we're watching you show us, what you've practiced this week or how you're doing on something, whatever, what's going on in our minds. Which I know when I say it that way, it sounds like we're daydreaming and we're not thinking about what our student is doing. And that can happen too, but it's sort of like a checklist. When someone says, okay, I've been working this thing, and they show me what they've been working on, it's like a little checklist. So I can't wait to share that with you. What I look for, or another way of putting it is like what's really going on in the guitar teacher's head. Okay, so I want to share that with you. We do have a poll question. Ooh, let's do the poll question right now. Why not? The poll question of the night is, okay, come on, mouse. Got the mouse. I'd like to start the poll as soon as possible because I know you guys can't all be here forever. Okay. The poll question of the night is, what do you need most to improve? What do you need most to improve your skills? And I mean that in the broadest sense. What do you need most to improve your skills? Hold on. I'm giving you two possible answers here. Do you need more time? Question mark. Or do you need better use of the time that you do have? Okay. And the poll has started. Okay, so get what I'm saying? Some of us need more time, right? My God, there's not enough hours in the day, right? Right? If you just had more time to practice, life would be good. Some of you have the time, but what? Something happens during your time, and you get caught up watching random YouTube guitar videos. Do you get focused on one thing that's maybe extra hard at the detriment of polishing your other skills? I don't know, but I know it's a real thing. So what do you think? Do you need more time in your life? Would that solve your problem? Or do you just need better use of your time? And both both things are valid. You know, I'm just curious out there. So go ahead and jump in on that poll. Other things we're going to talk about tonight. There's a book, a guitar book I want to share with you. That we'll call it the Book of the Week, a guitar instructional book of the week. I didn't actually bring the book. I brought everything else. I brought so much stuff. I didn't bring that one book. That's okay. I was just going to hold it up so you could see the cover of it. I I have a great idea for merch. The first SongBike merch. You know, read like a T-shirt. It should be something like a T-shirt, right? A trucker hat, a bumper sticker. Oh no, I have a great idea for SongBike merch. You're gonna laugh. Stick around. I have finished a handful of new songs for my chord melody songbook that's going to be coming out soon. Still taking your requests. So in case some of you don't know what a chord melody arrangement is, I should illustrate that, and I will illustrate that in a minute. But partly based on your requests, I finished chord melody arrangements of 2 Beatles songs that were requested yesterday in Norwegian Wood. So if you requested one or both of those, thank you. These are few. And also, someone requested a chord melody arrangement of Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain by Willie Nelson. So I finished that one. So those are going in the book. Very exciting, but I could use some more suggestions. Bill Collier suggested Shenandoah, and that's a great idea. I think I'll probably do a version of Shenandoah in there. But this is a perfect time for you to throw some suggestions for chord melody arrangements into the chat. Remember, I'm looking for songs that are famous, slowish, and where the background chords are relatively easy. So what is a chord melody arrangement? And I'm going to use Old Lang Syne as an example. To play Old Lang Syne as just the melody, you could play. Right? Nice little melody of chord, Old Lang Syne, right? Should old acquaintance be forgot. As a chord melody version, I would do those melody notes with some chord tones to support the melody, and it was like this. Oh, so beautiful, right? So I'm going to do a whole book of those. At this point, I have over 20 of them done, and I want to do about 30. So there's room for 10 more, okay? And go ahead and put it in the chat if you have a request. And if you are not able to put something in the chat at the moment, don't worry. When you have a moment, send an email to info@song-bike.com. And I can't wait to hear them. Okay, so going back to some of the things that I hope to get to tonight in between your questions. We have a chord family of the night, which is a little bit of a concept as opposed to an actual chord family, but you'll see it's good stuff. We have a very cool play along tonight. Can't wait to get to it. I'll give you a hint. It's a Beatles song, but it's not either of the 2 Beatles songs that I mentioned. But I'm very excited about that. My voice, well, my voice is, I was about to say my voice is back, but some of you may say, no, man, you still sound about the same. But my voice is a little bit back compared to last week. So good times. Want to give you an update on my student. Let's call her Maria. And Maria, you might remember, is a student. I kind of like reporting to you guys about how Maria is doing because Maria is awesome. But Maria is a young girl who, quick recap, when she plays the guitar wrong, she sounds good. When she plays it right, she sounds not so good. And so I'm flummoxed. And here's why I'm flummoxed. She sounds best when her left thumb starts peeking out from behind the neck of the guitar. And as the guitar slips into a horizontal position on her lap, her notes in general become clear and loud and proud, I say. When she holds it the right way and keeps her thumb in the back of the neck, it's her notes, often have a dead or muted kind of sound. So here's the update on Maria, on quote Maria. Maria is today we had I'm not going to call it a breakthrough, but today she did a better job holding the guitar in a typical upright position, and she did a better job keeping her thumb around the back of the neck. Right before we even played our first notes of our lesson this morning, we went over that real quick. When I say we went over that, meaning I laid down the law how it had to be, and so she made she sounded better today. But I equate it with sort of like earning 1% interest on a savings account in the bank. Like, oh, she sounded 1% better, but I'll take it. I'll take it. So you go, Maria. I've taught enough adults who told me, man, I played as a kid and then I put it down, never got back to it, and now I'm 40 or 50 or 60 years old and I want to get back to it. I wish I never stopped. So I heard that from so many adults when I first started teaching, that it 100% affected how I would teach my younger students, to the point where some of them I would even say to them, you better keep playing, because I don't want you coming back to me when you're 50 years old and saying, oh, I wish I never stopped. And I mean, they see I'm joking and smiling when I say it, but I kind of mean it. Like, no, let's get you good at the guitar right now, because even if I am teaching in my 90s, that doesn't mean I want to see students who could have just kept playing and, you know, back when we were both a lot younger. Hey, Marianne Bolger, thank you for joining us. Joseph Galasso, hello. Scott Rhodes, thank you for being with us. How's that baritone guitar working out, Scott? I hope it's working out great. Susan, hello. Gregory, hello. Okay, so I think I just covered a lot. Oh, for some reason today, I couldn't stop listening to apparently my new favorite song, which is "Come On Eileen" by Dexy's Midnight Runners. Can we just have a pause the live stream for a moment and talk about what a great song "Come On Eileen" is? And I lost track of how many times I listened to that song today, but what a great song. I love "Come On Eileen." Anybody else a big fan of that tune? What a great song. Talk about an ambitious tune, man. That song is a hot mess in the best possible way. That is an ambitious songwriting, ambitious ensemble playing. So today apparently was my day to totally geek out over "Come On Eileen," and now I'm sharing that with you. There you go. Okay, so I'm scrolling up because I know as I've been gabbing away here, I saw some questions come in. Everybody, you're doing an excellent job of putting question marks in advance of your questions, but keep it up. Don't stop now. Okay. Brian asked a good question. Okay, Brian, scrolling up your question. Is there a universal strumming pattern? My first thought was no, sadly. And I thought, wait, there kind of is. And here's what I mean by that. Every song has a beat, right? Unless it's a real new age kind of thing when you're getting your massage and they put on that new age music that is awesome and helps you relax. Everything else has some kind of beat to it. You could say a universal strumming pattern is simply playing downstrokes on the beat. Oh, by the way, listen to "Come On Eileen" 20 or 30 times does not mean I remember any of the lyrics, really. Come on, Eileen. Da, 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 everything. I don't know. Anyways, universal strumming pattern. If there's any such thing, there it is right there. Just keeping the beat, all downstrokes. Not a wildly creative thing, but that there you go. There's your universal strumming pattern. Now there are other patterns that are so, I call them like a skeleton key. I'm on a C major chord here, down, down, up, down. That's what Walter. That's what you suggested there. So Walter, you get the prize there in the live chat. Walter correctly said down, down, up, down, up. That fits so many songs, of a certain type of song. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's the closest thing to a universal pattern. The Boom-Chick thing that I did earlier, I was on that 4-finger G chord. that Boom-Chick is also like a skeleton key that can get you into a lot of songs. The songs that aren't covered by the down, down, up, down, up. The ones that one doesn't work for, the Boom-Chick fits a lot. You guys, as you ask these questions, you have me grabbing books. So the Strum Pattern Bible. Okay, check it out. Right there. There's steady downstrokes. That's basically the first thing that I did, right? Come on, Eileen. The Folk Strum. That's my name for the one that Walter suggested. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And then section 4, that's where it gets into the boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick pattern. And all these things have variations. Okay. Okay, so Brian, between Walter and me, I think we got you. We addressed your questions. I mean, which is a good point, you know. Between those three things, downstrokes, what I'm calling the folk strum, and the Boom-Chick Strum, that covers a lot of tunes, a lot of them. You guys, I'm going to take a second here. It occurred to me as I was packing up stuff and bringing it here to the Elm Street studio that I have written 8 different books, and I'm going to take a second and give you a quick tour. Okay. The Christmas Songbook. 31 Christmas tunes arranged 3 different ways. Woo! Oh, hold on. I can do better than that. Hold on, bear with me. Where's my little fun in the sun here? Okay, there we go. I'll say it again. 31 Christmas songs, each one arranged 3 different ways. And here comes round of applause. Oh, thank you. Okay. Strum Pattern Bible. Dozens and dozens and dozens of ways to strum or fingerpick the guitar, all based on famous songs. Oh, you're too kind. Okay, here's a good one. 3 of the books. Okay, enough. Stop with the clapping, please. 3 of the books are for beginners. Beginners, you know who you are. I was being asked for books for beginners, and I found that to be a challenging thing because, you know, beginners are all different from each other. A lot of people call themselves beginners. So, but we all know who just got a guitar and is spending the first week with the guitar. So I call this the guitar week one, and the guitar month one is just what it sounds like, and the guitar year one expands on those 2. So there's 3 books. We got the DCG trick, because that's apparently my claim to fame. My one big viral video. I have a bunch of other videos that are doing pretty well, just that the DCG trick puts them to shame. 11 million views. I don't know if we're up to 12 million yet. A whole bunch of riffs, exercises that are based on famous songs that use this trick. And there's a lot of them. Sweet Home Alabama, Can't You See by Marshall Tucker, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. Hey, how about this one? This is the special book. Oh, it's so special because it's a real book from Hal Leonard Publications. This one is cool for lots of reasons, but one big reason is there's so much different stuff in here that it pushes you to learn a whole bunch of different skills, and that'll keep you busy for a while. This one you can get directly from me as a paper copy, and I send it to you. I put it in a package and mail it to you. And all these other ones, including the blues guide here, everything else is an e-book that you get sent to your email inbox immediately, and then you download it, and then you can print it out, do whatever you want with. But easy guitar, chord, and lead tricks from Hal Leonard Publications. That's the hard copy that I send in the mail to you. How do you get these books? Okay. You know what I'm going to say. Just head over to my website, www.song-bike.com, and it all shall be revealed. Every book has a video, except I think technically the guitar week one, I believe there's not a video that goes with that book. It just didn't make sense based on the content, because it's really, really, really beginner stuff. And yeah. Anyways, Brian, you like Come On Eileen? Excellent, excellent. Charlie Beagle, hey Charlie. Charlie also put in the chat that down, down, up, down, up. You got it. Pooba John, the Beatles song that we're gonna rock out on tonight when we're playing along is not Rocky Raccoon. I chose one that is, I would consider, pretty darn easy but very satisfying to play. And Rocky Raccoon might be a little bit tricky for some folks. Okay. And hold on as I scroll here. Okay. Chris, are you checking in from Virginia? Chris Lloyd, welcome. Glen Allen, Virginia. Very nice. TJ is doubling back here and said, I tried the slide starting with a 4-2, and it was just the pressure putting on the string. Okay, good. So yeah, sometimes you muscle your way through. As a kid, I had a high school job pumping gas in a gas station, and it was a full service station. So the mechanics and the owner were in there doing repairs in the bays, and I was the high school kid out pumping gas. And I had a lot of good memories of that job. I did it for 2 summers back in the I guess late 80s, give or take. And of the many memorable things that happened, was I think a customer was asking me to check the oil or put in some coolant or something like that. Whatever I was being asked to do, because this is olden times back when a customer, would say, "Hey, would you mind topping me off with the oil man, checking whatever?" And so pop the hood, and whatever it was, I couldn't I couldn't unscrew the cap on whatever it happened to be. So I told the owner, "Hey, I'm having this problem here." He says, "Okay, I'll be right out." He comes out with this massive wrench. I mean, it was like, you know, 4 feet long at least in my memory. It was the biggest wrench you've ever seen in your life. And, and he said, "Okay, I've got the persuader." That's how he referred to the wrench, the persuader. And yeah, that did the job. I thought, yeah, man, sometimes you just have to get the persuader. Sometimes you just have to press harder. There's no finesse. You just press harder. You just slide harder as you slide. Yeah, so Gregory says, sorry I'm late. I've just had a new guitar delivered and was playing it a bit. All right, Gregory, okay, Gregory got a Yamaha LS16 Rosewood to complement his Yamaha FS5, which is mahogany. Wow, that sounds awesome. Hey, tell us, Gregory, what the LS stands for. And it may as well tell us what the FS stands for. I'm a fan of Yamaha guitars, and I'm sure they're both beautiful. Congratulations. And it's a beautiful thing when the guitar arrives, right? It's a beautiful thing. So go ahead and put that in the chat if you don't mind. Okay. Here we go. Robbie, 24-ish. Hello. Bill is asking a good question. Bill is contemplating getting a second guitar with a shorter scale length, probably electric guitar, going from an acoustic guitar to an electric guitar. Is changing scale lengths problematic? No, nope. But you go in, anytime that you are an acoustic player and you pick up an electric or vice versa, you are already going to, there's enough changes that your hands, your whole body is going to have to go through, that the scale length is no more problematic or weird than everything else about the new instrument. For instance, going from a nice full-bodied acoustic guitar to a thin little solid-body electric, right there, that's such a profound difference. Electric has a thinner neck, thinner strings. You are absolutely right that the scale length, the strings, everything else being equal, the strings are going to feel a little bit different. Shorter scale length, in general, the strings feel a little looser, feel a little bendier, a little bit, right? Longer scale length, the strings are going to feel a little bit tighter. Neither one is good nor bad. It is what it is. But there's so many things are so different that won't that'll only be one of many things that you get used to, you know. And it's like driving your spouse's car, right? For whatever reason, all of a sudden you're driving your spouse's car or someone else's car, and you just have to take a deep breath and remember stuff. Okay, wait a minute, I have to do this, this, this. Yeah, yeah. How are we doing in our poll? The poll, we are saying, looks like, remember the question was, of course you remember, what do you need to improve your skills? You need more time or better use of your time? And so far, 68% of you are saying you just need to use your time better. It's not about finding more time, although I'm sure we all wish we had more time. Love it. Joseph says, I'm permanently retired. No deadlines or commitment. All the time I need. Neither applies to me. I gotcha. Okay. Booba John is asking a great question. Is it better to play a lot of different songs fast or just one over and over? Man, the answer is yes. Meaning, in a perfect world, you have enough time in a practice session to have a repertoire of both, of songs that in your mind are no-brainers. We all have a different concept of what that means. But just practice stuff in general, practice stuff that you can do that's satisfying, that maybe because you practiced it a lot already, it's just not that tough, or maybe it never was tough. Um, and then we all should have what I sometimes call a masterpiece, that thing that's like, whoo, and it's going to take you a little bit. Like it's March and you're getting this Christmas song ready for Christmas time, right? Something that's challenging. We all should have at least one of those going on, right, to push yourself. So if I had to choose, Pooba John, I would choose having a bunch of songs that are going to either push you in a few different directions, or maybe it's a bunch of songs where the chords and the strumming are all relatively similar, and you just get really good at that stuff. One or two different strum patterns, maybe 5, 6, 7 different chords, but you can all of a sudden play a whole bunch of songs. Or how about guitar riffs? How about catchy little guitar riffs? Crazy Train, Day Tripper by the Beatles, Smoke on the Water, whatever, those classic short little catchy riffs. It's great to have a whole bunch of those, to sit down and play a whole bunch of those, play them well, play them accurately, play them with good technique. Um, I guess I would be hesitant just to encourage someone to take one song and grind away at one song and have that be the only thing you ever practice, even though I know that's how you get good at stuff. I have had students where we do that. Not many, but I have had students where they're so committed and they're so enthusiastic about it. I tend to follow the lead of the student. And if this, I remember this girl, this was a long time ago now. I can't believe I even remember her name. Wow. She was so into Tears in Heaven by Eric Clapton. The album had just come out, with the unplugged album with Tears in Heaven. And she was so into that song. And that was what we spent our lessons. This is olden times. I was teaching 30-minute lessons a long time ago, back when I lived in Chicago. And we would spend all 30 minutes on a section of Tears in Heaven. But that in my mind, that's the exception. Even if you truly do passionately want to master one song, I still encourage you to do something else as a warm-up, as, I don't know, a confidence builder, and then spend the rest of your time on that one song. I think balance, right? Balance. Salad, soup, breadsticks, and then get into the main course. That's what I'm thinking. And in general, that's what I do myself. And that's how I've spent my practice time a lot myself, is a lot of the time is a variety of small things and then the one big thing. Okay, scrolling. Thank you for bearing with me, you guys. Michael, I see your question. I'm going to jump that. Charlie is, Charlie, thank you. Charlie's saying, hey, are all of you guys subscribed? Charlie would like to get me up to 200,000 subscribers. And I'm getting close, right? I'm getting close to 200,000. I think I'm at 199 and change. I forget. So at some point, it's going to happen. YouTube does not issue a play button award plaque thing for 200,000 subscribers. I have the silver one for 100,000 subscribers, and I believe the next one is for 1 million subscribers. Woo. And hey, that, all in good time. It will happen. Fortunately, it's not my priority, but these big round numbers like 200,000. Sure, I tell you what, when we get 200,000 subscribers, I'll drink to that. And tonight's live stream is again brought to us by Vitamin Water Power C Dragon Fruit flavor. John Salem is back with us. Hello, John. Thank you. Robbie says that Robbie is subscribed. Thank you, Robbie. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe, you guys. I appreciate that. Okay. Joseph is said this week you've been learning First Cut is the Deepest by Cat Stevens. Yeah, and Still the Same by Bob Seger. Excellent, excellent. Okay. Okay, scrolling. Speaking of scale length, Scott Rhodes is saying going from the 29.75 scale length baritone back to a standard guitar makes the fingers feel like they're cramped in a tight space. Yeah, that's pretty extreme. Okay, so Michael asks, what's a good way to get into playing an electric guitar? I learned to play guitar and acoustic and am comfortable picking songs. When it comes to learning electric, I feel lost. So, Michael, in your case, you're talking about material content, right? You're not talking about, excuse me, you're not talking about adjusting to the physicality of it. You're talking about, what's some good things to start. Excellent. I would suggest, actually, this blues guide right here, the free blues guide. And here's why. It emphasizes stuff that makes sense on electric guitar, kind of coincidentally, but not totally coincidentally. It's electric guitar players in general can get away with playing 1 string, 2 strings, 3 strings. And in general, acoustic guitar players want to get the biggest sound from their acoustic instrument, so they're often strumming 4 strings, 5 strings, 6 strings, right? So because there's so much great music, blues music done on electric guitar, and because electric guitar players often focus on just a couple strings at a time, it's a great way to do relatively simple stuff and get used to playing electric guitar. So, for example, just a simple shuffle pattern. On electric guitar through a cranked up amplifier, a simple shuffle pattern is really powerful, even though it's only 2 strings and one of them is wide open. So just then I was picking 2 strings at the same time. I had 2 bass strings, my 6th and 5th strings. My 6th string, E, is open. I'm fretting my 5th string, index finger, 2nd fret on the A string. I'm playing that combination of those 2 strings twice. Okay, and then my ring finger reaches up to cancel out my index finger, ring finger, 4th fret on the 5th string. And we have a nice shuffle pattern going. So that's something that sounds great on electric guitar, pretty darn easy. There's a lot of variations, that you can do with that. I think, yes, page 12, the blues shuffle pattern essentially gets into what I just did right there. And it's free. It's free. Head over to song-bike.com and get your free copy. Free means free. Gratis. Other things, Michael, that are a good way to get used to playing electric guitar. Catchy, famous, relatively simple rock and roll guitar riffs. Good old Day Tripper. Fun, memorable, recognizable. People say, "Ooh, I love that song," or people say, "Ooh, that sounds great." Always nice to get that feedback, right? You play just a few notes and someone's like, "Ooh, I like that." Other bluesy stuff that is great on electric. Good old Muddy Waters. That's in the book there. I think I managed to work this into almost every book I write. Maybe not every one, but that Muddy Waters riff shows up in more than one of the books that I've written. Um, so that's some of the things, Michael, that I would recommend. Um, uh, Great riffs and rhythm guitar patterns that are almost designed for electric guitar. Because even though it's only on a couple of strings at a time or one string at a time, volume is not an issue because you just crank it louder, you know. Okay, Gregory is telling us about these Yamaha um, models. FS stands for Folk Small Body. Okay, so Gregory, so you already have the Yamaha FS Folk Small Body, and the L is the Step Up Large Body. I guess I gotcha. So LL is large body, and LS is small body. Okay, oh, I got it. Okay, so there's the Folk FS is like small size in general, and anything with an L is one notch bigger, but there's the LS and the LL. Okay, very cool. Very cool. Um, Yamaha. You can't go wrong buying a Yamaha guitar. Oh, if you do buy a Yamaha guitar, why not buy one tonight? And why not use the Sweetwater affiliate link? I put it at the top of the of the chat, but I'm going to put it in right now too. You guys just get yourself something. Why not? You work hard if you're so inclined. Okay, there we go. When you click on that Sweetwater link, which is also going to be in the, or it is in the description of this live stream, Sweetwater knows that I sent you there, and they kick back a little bit of their profits to support what we're doing here. And I thank you, Sweetwater, for doing that. So should you be so inclined to buy yourself a Yamaha guitar, why not get it from Sweetwater? Although you guys know, I'm always 100% going to encourage you to support your local mom and pop corner music store whenever possible. I worked at one, and I still own one. So I'm a big fan of. Oh, and as you guys know, I like to stop in at all those mom and pop stores. Tonight's T-shirt is brought to us by Color City Guitars in Troy, New York. Thought I'd wear their T-shirt tonight. So yeah, whenever possible, of course, do your best to support those folks. But sometimes it just doesn't work that way. And then Sweetwater, they've got your back. Um, Blair has an FG840. Excellent, excellent. Yamaha. So you guys, a bunch of Yamaha fans out there. Bruce, I see your question. I'm going to grab that. Bill, I see your question. Blair says, I have done the one song commitment, peaceful, easy feeling. So Blair, you sort of prioritized that. And you just kept working away at that tune. Excellent, excellent. You know, we're all so different. Like you go into a restaurant, some people feel like they want to get the soup and the salad, right? Some restaurants, you know, they're set up for that. Other times you just want to get right to the pizza, right? You just want to, you don't want to have to earn the pizza. You just want the pizza, you know, bring it. Thank you very much. So Michael, I hope those ideas are helpful. Look at that. We're just about 1 hour in. We're going to get to our guitar play along pretty soon. So don't go anywhere, but do get your guitars handy. If you happen to know the D shuffle or the A shuffle, or both D shuffle and the A shuffle, get those handy because you're going to need those. Oh, it's like the E shuffle thing I just did, but the A shuffle is on the next pair of strings, and the D shuffle. Don't worry, I'll go over that. But you're going to need those for the Beatles song we're going to do in just a little bit. Okay, Bill is asking a great question. When learning a new riff or song, should one prioritize perfect accuracy before trying for speed? Yes, but at a certain point, you just have to go for it, right? You make, you know, you check your fingers and you make sure you know what you're doing, and you know, you do it right, slowly, and then you just want to go for it. So don't wait too long. I've had students who I can't, and it might even be my fault. They won't go faster. They won't go faster. They don't feel ready. It's like putting your, you know, diving into a cold swimming pool. and it could be that there's a real fear of making a mistake. Um, so, Bill, to answer your question, yeah, accuracy before speed, 100%. Well, I'm going to say 99%. Because yeah, then you want to push yourself and just see what happens, and with the understanding that you're probably going to mess up because you're going too fast. Okay, um, but don't get frozen um, by this by striving for perfection. Um, I can't believe I'm saying all this because in general, we all go too fast, and we all need to just slow it down for heaven's sake. Um, I find myself saying, okay, play it slower a million times more often than I tell someone, okay, time to play it faster. I've joked about just getting a tattoo in my forehead that just says, slow down. And then I would just point to it. Slow down. Slowing down cures everything, everything, everything works better when you just slow down. And it's hard to slow down. I know because every day I see people who, even if I push them to slow down, they slow down 1%. I mean, no, I said like slow motion, like ESPN highlights, slow motion, and they slow down 2%. Like, no, it's not slow motion. So apparently, put it this way, if you're capable of taking a deep breath and playing something at half speed, you are amazing. You are the exception. And I'm not even joking. It's an important skill, and it's a rare skill to truly be able to play something much slower than the original. I don't mean to play it perfectly. I mean just having the discipline to take a deep breath and say, when I see a student do that, I know they're gonna not just do the exercise or the song or whatever, fine, but that they have a great future on the instrument. Anybody who can take a deep breath and play something at half speed, especially if I don't even tell them to, they just do it because it's common sense. I think to myself, I am going to be buying tickets to this person's concert someday. They are going to do just fine. Charlie Beagle says, I always worry that my neighbors get tired of my repertoire of songs I run through regularly. Nah, neighbors, neighbors. None other than the famous Jonathan Richman said, I'm not going to let the neighbors run my life. Was that great song? I think the song's called Neighbors from his great album called Jonathan Sings. Any Jonathan Richman fans out there? I'm not going to let the neighbors run my life. I love Jonathan Richman. Jonathan Richman just came through Connecticut a couple nights ago. I saw him on tour a couple years ago, and I'm a big Jonathan Richman fan. You can't let the neighbors run your life. Who are they, anyways? Sometimes you don't even know who your neighbors are, but you have this concern. Then again, hey man, uh, learn some new tunes. There's your motivation. I had a neighbor in an apartment building who played music so loud, but I had to admit I really liked his taste in music. So it was a tricky situation. Okay. Um, okay. Bruce is asking me a personal question. Says, Jonathan, what aspect of the guitar would you like to improve at the most? Thanks for asking. I would like to be a much better improviser. I want to be that guy who has such a command of improvising that I can play with anybody, right? Blues band, some band from another country, music from another culture. Ooh, you know, jazz band, punk band. Oh, I'd like to be such a good improviser. Just, you know, wait for the appropriate opportunity and then play a beautiful, tasteful solo in that style. Oh, I like to. And I can tell you why I'm not particularly good at it because it was never a priority. You get good at what you prioritize, right? I mean, you do. And if you're not good at something, it's probably because you're doing something else instead. So so for me, my priority from day one was um, learning songs, writing songs. And when I say learning songs, it was really learning the chord progressions and the strumming patterns, or finger picking patterns. And and I got good at that. I mean, I had uh, dozens of songs. I had a list of 100 songs, and you could pick one on the list, and I could play it all the way through. Um, and I had almost zero experience improvising. So, um, I got good at what I prioritized. So there you go. That's off the top of my head, Bruce. That's what I would like to improve on the most. Which improvising is a combination of a lot of things. Um, uh, Music theory, so you know what would sound up even before you play it. You put yourself into a situation where you can't go wrong. If you know the song's in this key of C major, and you know your C major scale, you can't go wrong. Um, so being good at improvising music theory is crucial. Um, Scales, scales and arpeggios. Uh, you want to have a massive knowledge of that kind of stuff. There's some tricks to improvising. Um, Phrasing, that one of the and I've seen students do that. I mean, I try to do it myself, but I've seen students do it and sound so much better so quickly. You play a few notes and then you wait. Phrasing, just like talking. Like I say, hey everybody, do I have your attention? I hope I do, because of the way I'm phrasing, right? So improvising, having that concept of playing 3, 4, 5 notes and then waiting a little bit. It's huge. Humming while you play, huge. Those of you who are, improvisers, maybe you got your pentatonic scale, you got your backing track on YouTube, you're playing along with it. You will play so much more. Well, it'll put it this way: it'll have a big effect on your playing. If you, I'm doing the A minor pentatonic now at 5, 7, and 8. I'm just going to improvise a little bit. I have to take a breath. If you have to take a breath, like every other instrument, sax, trumpet, flute, saxophone, trombone, if you have to take a breath, you're going to have to stop playing for a minute, right? Who's a famous guitar player who famously hummed and sang? You guys know who he is. Who's a guy out there? I'll put his name in there. Oh, we got to answer our dobro question too. And I saw somebody, was it Joseph? Mentioned the dobro. Added some information, some dobro information. We'll get to that. Who was famous for humming and sing while he played? Anybody know? George Benson. I don't know if he did it constantly, but when I think of a human being who does that, I think of George Benson. Anyways, for those of you who improvise, I highly recommend that. So these are things that when I think to myself, and I do want to be a lot better improvising, I think, Jonathan, don't forget, hum or sing while you play. Don't forget to play in phrases, to leave space there. Keep working on your scales, keep working on your arpeggios, and then just do it, right? YouTube backing tracks, just doing it, is huge. Um, uh, as opposed to, thinking about doing it. Nothing beats just putting on that backing track and 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 doing it, listening to yourself, record yourself. These are all, well, put it this way, I'm going to get good at improvising. When I say good, I mean much better than I am right now. I don't consider I'm particularly advanced at it right now. I'm going to get there. Especially now that I'm saying it to you guys, you're like, okay, big shot, let's hear it. Okay, give me time. Um, and this is my strategy. These are everything I'm talking about. It's my strategy. Okay. Okay. Um, Bob got himself the Yamaha FS 800 for Christmas. Big sound, and he loves it. Awesome. I got to get Yamaha to sponsor this live stream. Stephen is asking a great question. Do you plant your picking hand on the guitar? Um, I I don't, and in general I discourage people from doing it. But you will see when I'm playing with the pick, for example, you'll see my middle ring and pinky on my right hand, um, often touching the guitar, but it's because they're hanging loose. They're not. I'm not bracing my hand with those fingers. I try to be in the habit of having my right hand picking fingers in a loose fist at all times, because I just think it looks so cool. And some of my, I don't know, just it looks cool. Very organized. But because I'm relaxed and I'm hanging loose here when I play, often my middle ring and pinky hang down. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I'm not really losing sleep over it. But if it ever looks like I'm playing with those fingers touching, and maybe they are touching, just know that um, they're not doing anything. Um, Finger picking, I'm torn because uh, there's no advantage to touching, say like I'm resting my pinky. I'm going to just do the finger picking here with an E major chord. And I'm making it, for those of you who are watching as opposed to listening, you can see in the shot my pinky's resting on the resonator of my dobro guitar. Very early on, I was in the bad habit of bracing hard with my pinky as I would finger pick, especially if I was nervous. And imagine a song starts off and you're singing the first verse, but what you're thinking about is, oh crap, I'm doing that pinky thing again, and you can't stop doing it because who knows why? I don't know, some sort of anxiety. So that is a bad idea. If you're finger picking and your pinky is lightly resting on the face of the guitar, the top of the guitar, I get that, how that can feel, that can get you the feeling of being sort of oriented. So your fingers are like, I don't know, kind of keeps your fingers from flying away from the guitar or falling onto other strings you don't want them to be on. I get that. So that might, in the short run, that might feel like a good idea, but in general, don't do it. After everything I just said, in general, don't, if you're finger picking, don't rest any of your fingers on the face of the instrument. It really doesn't, you should be able to, in the long run, you should be able to play just fine with no fingers resting on there. So in general, I discourage people from doing that. So I read an interesting thing years ago in a guitar magazine where Joe Satriani was talking about playing electric guitar and trying to determine, and this is what I love about weird people like me and Joe Satriani, what was the optimal place for your right hand to rest or not rest on the guitar as you're playing, assuming you're right-handed. And he went through a whole thing where he would have his right hand hovering above the strings and not touching anything, to having his right hand resting on the bridge or saddle or some part where presumably it wasn't painful, but it would be resting on the guitar. And he went through this whole thing with a bunch of different possible options, only to realize it really didn't make him a better or worse player anyway, and that in his case, he determined it was not important. I know this is not exactly what you're talking about, Stephen, but it kind of is when you say plant your picking hand. So I found that very illuminating that Joe Satriani tried it, presumably put a lot of time into it, and decided that there were no specific pros or cons. So I'm going to go back to, in general, having your right hand off the instrument, hovering very close to the instrument, is the best thing. And that touching the guitar, there's no advantage to that, except maybe in the short run to somehow make you feel kind of literally connected to the guitar. But I don't recommend it. It's a great question though. You guys, forget everything I say. Watch videos, YouTube videos, and watch what other people do. You can even keep score. Okay, I'm going to watch my 10 favorite guitar players or 10 YouTube guitar teachers or whatever, and keep score. Where does that person put their right hand pinky? And do people who are finger picking tend to put it in someplace else? I don't know. The while the rest of the world is simply enjoying nice guitar playing, you and me and people like us are thinking like, ooh, where's the person's thumb on their left hand? Ooh, are they using a capo? Hey, is that a slide? I see on their pinky, and we're geeking out. Wow, it looks like they're playing, bare finger guitar, but wait, is that a thumb pick on their thumb? We're geeking out about all this kind of stuff because it's interesting, right? It's interesting. Okay. Blair is saying, Tommy Emmanuel says Chet Atkins rested his pinky during finger picking. Yeah, there you go. Right? Who's better than Chet Atkins, right? Um, but keep in mind what I said. Resting your pinky is different than what I did as a younger person, which is I was grinding into the guitar. So the common sense says, yeah, anything that hurts and feels weird, obviously, no one would do that, and I'm sure Chet Atkins was not doing that. But yeah, there you go. So like I said, don't listen to me. You know, use your who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes, right? Trust your eyes. Okay, how about one more question, and uh, and then let's get into our guitar play along. Okay, Scott, I see your question. Scott says, is it possible to ever get tired of Blood on the Tracks by Bob Dylan? I've been obsessing over that old favorite all week. Great album. You know, uh, I believe Bob Dylan was an open tuning for that whole album. Um, and that's gives the songs, a unique kind of sound a little bit. Some of the riffs and stuff you can only emulate if you're in that tuning. And that could be kind of a fun thing to do sometime. I hope someone has done this, but I have no idea if they have. Do a deep dive into the guitar playing on that album, and if he's using the same tuning for the whole album, and if so, does he ever capo it to get different keys and stuff? um some critics have said that when a guitar player does that, goes into a different tuning and then use it for a whole album, it it gives a cohesiveness to that album, which is great. But you also run the risk of having every song sound the same, right? Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so let's do our play along song of the week after little hydration. Okay, I see 35 people are here. Okay, 35. You got your guitars, right? Our play along song of the week from Lennon and McCartney, Come Together. Come Together by the Beatles. Now, I made this tab, and I'm not convinced you guys are going to be able to see it perfectly. But here's what I'm hoping. Oh, that's not bad. Not bad. All right. Here's what I'm hoping. Whether or not you, at this moment, can exactly read what's written here, you're going to come back to it, right? And you can freeze the video right now. And then you can, whatever, do a screenshot, pencil and paper, whatever it takes to play Come Together. Okay. I wanted to keep it to 2 pages, and I wanted to make the print nice and big. This was all very intentional, you guys, because I wanted to communicate everything you need for Come Together, with the understanding that if I were to notate the entire song, it would go on for more pages, and there would be a lot more repeat signs and codas and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that, but I want to get it all in one page. Okay, so we're going to talk about what you need for this song, and I'm going to try to keep that short so we can get into playing it, and then we'll play it. Okay, so have I simplified anything? Of course I simplify stuff a little bit. If that makes you crazy, don't worry. Many people, including me, have posted videos on how to play the song note for note. um, you know, but because there's a variety of us here, and I want everybody to join in, I simplify things. So we're going to talk about the intro riff, which is also, I would call it the vamp riff, because it shows up multiple times in the song as a vamp. It fills in the space. They vamp on this before, say, the next verse begins. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the shuffle patterns that you need, and we're going to talk about the power chords that you need. So, are you ready? Let's do it. First thing that you need is okay, I want to get the whole guitar in the shot here. Okay. This I've definitely simplified from the original, but that's okay. It fits perfectly and it sounds great. Okay, so I'm doing all downstrokes with my pick. I'm focusing on one string at a time. I have the open D string twice, hammer on the G string from open to the second fret, second string, first fret, and back to where I hammered onto, third string, second fret. See those things that look like percentage signs? That means repeat the previous measure, repeat the previous measure, repeat the previous measure. What is a measure? A measure is a box of music. That box of music right there, the intro riff, happens 4 times. It happens once there. There's the second time, third time, fourth time. Those are known as repeat signs. They look like percentage signs, I know. It means repeat the previous measure. So the intro riff happens 4 times. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, what happens next? You next need the D shuffle pattern. D is in delta. The open D string, that's your 4th string. And simultaneously, the G string, 2nd fret. We're doing that 2 times. Then I recommend the ring finger. You could use your pinky. Don't use your middle. Ring finger or pinky. 3rd skinny string, 4th fret. If possible, keep the index finger down. See, my index finger is acting like as an anchor, right? It's keeping my hand stable. That's the word I was looking for when I talked about resting your pinky. It gives you a sense of stability. When you're finger picking, it gives you a sense of stability. I'm not saying you should do it, but I get why people do it. Okay, so you need the D shuffle for come together. You also need the A shuffle. It's the exact same thing you just did as the D shuffle, but move everything 1 string up towards the ceiling. What does that mean? That means your index is now going to be on the 4th string, the D string, 2nd fret, and your pick is going to be playing the open A string and the D string. That's why it's called the A shuffle, by the way. It's a duplicate of what you just did on the D shuffle. Just you've moved both of your hands 1 string towards the ceiling. So the A shuffle, the 5th and 4th strings, the 5th string is open, the 4th string is fretted at the 2nd fret. You do that twice, and the 4th string, 4th fret takes over. You do that twice. You can imagine as a guitar teacher how happy I was that a famous song used these really basic shuffle patterns. And you guys who have done shuffles before, you know this is pretty basic stuff. Those of you who have not done it, today is the day. Now today's the day you've learned the great thing on the guitar known as a shuffle pattern. And we happen to be doing it. The D shuffle pattern right there and the A shuffle pattern right there. See right here, if you can, I wrote D5 because at that exact moment when you begin the shuffle pattern, that's known as a D5, also a D power chord. You know, most of us call it D power chord. So I thought I'd put that in the chart right there, D5, and same thing over there where it says A5. Okay, so you need those 2 shuffle patterns. You need power chords. Right when they say, right when he says, got to be a joker. At that moment, you need a G power chord. Index finger, 6th string 3, ring finger or pinky, 5th string 5. Got to be a joker. Smack it, those 2 strings, hit it nice and confidently, and you can catch it with the flesh of your picking hand. Okay? You will also need power chords for the chorus of the tune. Come together. You need it for that part too. So what am I talking about? Okay. A B power chord 6 times. Index finger, 5th string 2. Ring finger, 4th string 4. Did I say 5th string? Index finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. Ring finger, 4th string, 4th fret. That's a B power chord 6 times. Come together. After 6 of those, watch my pointer finger. It's going to just drop down 4th string, 2nd fret. Here's an A power chord, that A5, 2 times. I'm strumming, I know you can always see my pick. I'm strumming my 5th and 4th strings, A power chord 2 times, and that G power chord 4 times, index finger, 6th string 3, ring finger, 5th string 5. I'm going to hit that 4 times. Finally, back to that A power chord. Come together right now over me. Okay? Now, don't worry. I don't expect all of you to get this right away. The idea is you can come back and watch this, right? And work on it, you know? Okay. This is not the entire tune, but yeah, it kind of is. The only thing I didn't put in here, well, I mean, I didn't put in the guitar solo. I can tell you during the guitar solo, it's this D shuffle for four measures, you know, four of those boxes. Actually, it's a keyboard solo, and that turns into a guitar solo. But during that whole part of the song, the keyboard solo and the guitar solo, it's the D shuffle for four measures, the same way it's written here, and the A shuffle for four measures as well. Here's only two measures. Anyways, this is everything you need for the song, even though admittedly I didn't go on for pages and pages and pages. Okay, you ready? You ready to do this? Quick recap. We got the intro slash vamp riff. We have the D shuffle. We have the A shuffle. And we have a variety of power chords. The G power chord, the B power chord, the A power chord, which does relate back to the A shuffle if you think about it. It's kind of overlapping information. And is that all the power chords we need? I think so. And you know what? The only thing I'm really profoundly changing from what the Beatles are doing is that intro riff. Everything else is pretty darn cool. Okay, are you ready? I'm getting my lyrics. We'll do like two verses and a chorus and a verse and a chorus. How about that? Because that's what happens in the song right before the cool keyboard solo. Who was the keyboard player on this? You guys know who this was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't a Beatle, right? It was the fifth Beatle. Who was it? You guys know. I assume it was. I mean, I could be wrong. I assume it was the guy I'm thinking of. Okay, you ready? I think I'm good if you're good. Okay, you ready? 4 times on the intro riff. We're going to play the verse. When you get to that repeat sign where the lyrics say, do what he please. Watch out, those 2 dots send you back to the very beginning of the tune again. You play the whole thing again, and then you go on to the chorus. Okay? Then we're going to do the, then we're going to start the whole thing fresh, but we won't do the repeat sign. We'll blow right past it and go right into the chorus. Okay? You do not have to understand all this right this second, right? Don't worry about it, because you can always come back. Okay. I keep saying, are you ready? I'm the one who's like in preparation mode. I wish I could get my right hand into the shot a little bit better. All right, you know it exists. You know my right hand will be playing. Just want you to be able to see the music as well. All right, let's go for it. Good habit. If you know what note the singing starts on, get that note in your head first before you commit to playing the tune, because otherwise you're going to be looking for that note. Here, come on. Okay, ready? 2, 3, 4. Here come old flat top, here come grooving up slowly. He got choo-choo eyeball, he went holy roller. He got hair down to is you got to be free. Come together right now over me. He back production, he got Warris Gumbo, he got oh no sideboard, he want spinal cracker, he got feet down below his knees. Hold you in his armchair, you can feel his disease. Come together right now over me. All right. And at that moment, it would go into the keyboard solo, which was, I believe, Billy Preston, right? I think, I could be wrong. And the guitar solo, which I hope is George Harrison, but I don't know. Yeah. And then everything else that happens in the tune is reflected on these pieces of paper, okay? All right, there you go. I do have a video on Come Together here on my channel. How you guys do? Hang in there okay? For those of you who are listening and maybe weren't watching, I was trying to point at different moments just to keep you guys, show you where you are in the chart. And sometimes I got back to the playing in the nick of time. I don't know, makes it kind of fun. Okay. So now let's move from this into the chord family of the week, which is going to totally relate to this. The chord family of the week is going to be more of a concept, which is this: substituting power chords for major or minor or seventh chords, or really any chords, but for our purposes now, let's say majors or minors. And I'll give you a perfect example. Okay, the chorus of the tune. I went from a B power chord to an A power chord to a G power chord back to the A power chord, because that's what the Beatles did. Power chords give that nice, tight, punchy rock and roll electric guitar kind of sound, I could, in another context, you could play a B minor chord instead of a B power chord. It wouldn't sound bad. I mean, it would be different, but it wouldn't, it would be the right chord to play if you're going to play a chord instead of a power chord. I'm going to go a B minor chord to an A major to a G. Come together right now. B minor, A, G, back to A. Now, I would call that a folky, like an acoustic guitar approach. Say you're playing it at an open mic or a campfire or something, and either you want to have a bigger, fuller sound that you can get from big chords like A and G and even B minor here. Or maybe you just want to be different. You don't want to do it exactly like the Beatles. You just want to do it differently. Come together right now. So I'm substituting majors and minors for power chords. And the reverse is extremely common, substituting power chords for majors and minors. Okay, so when would you want to substitute power chords for majors and minors? The reverse of what I'm talking about here. You're playing with someone and they've already got the chords down. They've already got the G and the C and the D. And there's no sense in duplicating what they do. A lot of the time, it sounds great for you to add in those punchy little power chords. I say little because there are only 2 strings. There's a 3-string version that just involves adding your pinky right under your ring finger. I'm going to digress for a second. A G power chord, for example, 3 on the 6th string with my index, 3rd fret. When I say 3, I mean 3rd fret. Ring finger, 5th fret on the 5th string. That's a G power chord, named after the G note that my pointer finger is touching there on the 6th string. If I want to make that sound a little fuller, I'm going to add a high G with my pinky, 4th string, 5th fret. See how it tucks right under my ring finger? Just at 1 octave higher than the low G that my index is on. So now I can strum 3 strings. It's not even called anything different. It's still called a G power chord, a G5, just the 3-string version. Okay, bottom line though, say you have a friend and they've got the G and they're strumming their G chord on whatever the song is. Maybe it's a song they wrote, they're strumming their G chord. You come in with a G power chord, it can sound like a really tasteful compliment, you know? It's a very cool way for an electric guitarist to play along with an acoustic guitar player. Or maybe that you're doing both. Maybe you've got your garage band, your recording software, you know, and you're recording a tune. Do the big open cowboy chords with acoustic guitar, do the power chords with electric guitar, maybe a little palm muting, and it's a very cool combination. Getting back to the chord family of the night approach, the same power chord can be substituted, can be used to replace a major or a minor. Say the song went from G major, this hypothetical song that your friend wrote, from G major to A minor. There's my G power chord, the one I was just doing. When it's time to do an A power chord, one option would be just to take that G power chord, slide up to two frets higher, index 5 on the 6th string, ring 7 on the 5th string. I'm going to go back to the 2-finger. That is yet another way of doing an A power chord. Even though they're playing an A minor chord in this song, you can do an A power chord. Power chords are neither major nor minor, and they can substitute for both. So they're going G, and then they're going A minor. Meanwhile, you're doing a G power chord, and then an A power chord. Okay, so there's your chord family of the night. Again, more of a concept than a family. Power chords can be used to substitute for majors and minors, or can be used to play along with majors and minors. And remember, the name of the power chord is the name of wherever your pointer finger is touching. Last thing, power chords pretty much are always based on either the 6th string, your fat E string, or the 5th string. Okay, so there's your motivation for memorizing the names and notes. Either memorize the names and notes on the 6th string, or being able to figure them out very quickly. And same thing on the 5th string, okay? Because then you can do power chords all over the place. So easy. I know it might look like I'm doing some sort of bar with my index finger. Nothing could be further from the truth. My index finger is kind of lazily stretching across the 6 strings. I might even be touching some of the skinny strings with my index finger when I do a power chord. It doesn't matter because I'm not playing those strings anyways. If anything, by being a little bit lazy and letting my index finger lightly touch like the 4 treble strings, I can really bang on those power chords with abandon, with wild abandon. And if I hit a skinnier treble string, other than the one my ring finger's on, if I hit any of the treble strings, it doesn't matter because they're muted, you know. Yeah. Hey, Dobro. The Dobro brand name was named after the 2 brothers, the Dopira brothers. I'm trying to get that headstock into the shot here. The Dopira brothers were among the first people to use this resonator design. I have to admit, I don't know the history quite enough to know if they were the very first or if they were just really good at it. So they named their company the Dobro Company for Dopira brothers. And who was it I saw earlier in the chat said in Croatian, Dobro means good. Joseph, was that you? Somebody, I'm so sorry, I don't remember who said that. But someone said that's in Croatian. It translates as the word good. All right. Which I love knowing stuff like that. Joseph, yes. Joseph, thank you for educating all of us. All right. Okay, so come together. You guys good? As a teacher, I love, number one, that it uses the shuffle patterns. Number two, that it uses power chords. And that's the thing from the Beatles I'm not simplifying. That's, that's how the song goes. And I also love that the very cool intro riff that shows up as a vamp later in the tune, it can be simplified like this, so that someone who maybe is not capable of playing that riff, but they can play everything else in the song, well, now they can play my version of the riff. Why not? You know? Okay, so let me see. A while ago, I mentioned that I have a great idea for the first SongBike signature merchandise. I know I should do T-shirts and bumper stickers like everybody else, you know, but as I was doing a little grooming today, I thought, oh, I'm going to do SongBike fingernail clippers. Because as you know, fingernail clippers, when you need them as a guitar player, nothing else matters. Nothing else. You need to cut your fretting hand fingernails, and you reach for those clippers, and hopefully they are right where you think they're going to be. So maybe someday I'll do SongBike signature fingernail clippers. Have them made in the USA. You know, some different. Have brass versus steel, and then we can all argue which one sounds better when you clip the nail. Is it brass or is it steel? You know, yeah. I'm kidding, of course, and yet I'm kind of like, we all need fingernail clippers, man. You got to have them right by your stuff. Yeah. I can almost hear my wife just shaking her head and saying, no, we're not doing signature fingernail clippers. Hey, no one else is doing it, right? I corner the market. Imagine receiving that phone call. Hello, Acme Nail Clippers. Hey, can you put my name on, I don't know, a couple hundred clippers? How much would that cost? I can only imagine how that phone call would go. Hey, you guys are all chatting about all your different guitars. Look at that. You guys have electrics and acoustics, Taylors, Epiphones, Yamahas. Look at that, you guys. Fender Strat, Fender Tele, Music Man. You guys are modifying your guitars a little bit. Joseph is asking, how many guitars do I have? I rehoused a couple of guitars. One of my buddies was in a car accident, and he was okay, but a bunch of his guitars got crushed. So I gave him a nice Fender Strat that I just was not playing, and I know he's taking good care of it. And then another friend bought a Squier Telecaster that I had, and I wasn't using it, so it was good to get those out of the house. So what do I have? I have my Guild Starfire. Is that red guitar? When you guys see a picture of me holding a red guitar with F holes, like in the little what do I call it, thumbnail picture for these live streams, that's my '63 Guild Starfire 3. It's still the coolest guitar. It possibly the coolest guitar in the world. Definitely the coolest guitar I own. So I got that. I have my 52 reissue Telecaster that I got back in the mid to late 90s. Got my metal body dobro. The metal body is a very cool thing because I know it's indestructible. This guitar has a little bit of a bark to it. In hindsight, I might have, done a little A/B test with a wooden body because I'm not sure if I need the aggression, the constant aggression that's available from a metal body guitar. Then again, it's good to know that I could probably stop a bullet with this thing. Hope I never find out. What else? I got my my Martin acoustic, my D16 from 1990. I got my Harmony Sovereign, that big harmony guitar that I have. It looks a little relict. That guitar was a gift from my buddy. What else do I have? Well, I'm sure you don't want me to talk about the new guitar I have on order. I mentioned last time that I have a guitar on order, which is basically a Telecaster on steroids, but it's not a Fender guitar. It's from a very cool company. I'll put the name in the chat. You guys remember this? The LSL company. They are about a 10-person guitar builder company out of California, lslinstruments.com. I'm hoping that, based on what they told me, the guitar is going to be available, Father's Day, maybe a little bit before Father's Day. I'm saying Father's Day because that would be great to have it arrive in time for Father's Day. It might be done earlier than that, but yeah, it's a Telecaster on steroids, um, meaning P90 in the neck position, as opposed to just another single coil, and Bigsby tremolo system, good old Bigsby. And what else? I got locking tuners. Why not? I've never had locking tuners before, so I'm going to get locking tuners, and very excited. It's got a big neck, what they call a U-shaped neck. Ooh, I tried a Fender Custom Shop guitar that happened to have this U neck, and as soon as I felt it, it felt so good. I thought that's what I want to get. And so it's going to have that U-shaped neck and kind of a big neck. But here's the thing: it's not that I play so much acoustic guitar that it occurred to me when I was putting together an order, the order for this guitar from LSL Instruments. In a lot of ways, I want it to be like an acoustic guitar. I want a nice, solid neck. I said, hey, would you guys, essentially make a Telecaster, but with a 3-in-3 headstock, like an acoustic guitar? And they said, no, we don't really do that, which I get. Believe me, I get that. But I thought, well, why would I want that? And partly it's because I'm just so used to a 3-in-3 headstock from all the acoustic guitars, Stephen is asking what kind of pickups. LSL makes their own pickups from scratch, which I'm very excited about trying out. So it's going to be an LSL P90 pickup in the neck position, like I said, and then a single coil pickup in the bridge position. So I'm very excited about those. And I can't wait, you guys. Can't wait. So yeah. Hey, Steve Greer, welcome. I see your question, Steve. I'm going to get to that. Look at that. Deborah has a classical and a ukulele and a flute from back in back in your school days. Love it. Love it. Okay. I want to make sure I didn't miss any other questions. Remember, you guys, if I ever missed one of your questions and time is ticking by, just put it again in the chat. But don't forget to put a bunch of question marks in advance. Hey, before I get to your question, I don't mean to keep you in suspense. Steve. I want to share with you something I teased at before. Oh, book of the week. I'll tell you why this is the book of the week in a minute. But as I was shopping at LSL Instruments and looking to see who's on their roster of their artists who are endorsers, I recognized one name. And I thought, why do I know this guy's name? And one reason I recognize his name, I realized, was because I have one of his very cool books. And the book is called, I'm going to get the title just right here, Country Solos for Guitar. And I really like his style of writing. It's not a beginner book, okay? But I'm going to give him a shout out. Steve Trovato, Trovato. Steve Trovato, terrific guitar player without a doubt. And this particular book that I have is called Country Solos for Guitar. And so I want to just give him a shout out. I checked it on Amazon. It's still in print. It comes with the recording, so you can hear what you're supposed to sound like. Again, this is not beginner stuff. But if you're looking for some pretty decent challenges, especially in the country, twangy, chicken picking kind of style, I definitely recommend that book. Okay, so why did oh, my son has joined the chat. Son, my son is reacting to you guys. Love you, son. To you guys talking about how many guitars a guitar player should own. My son says you should have more guitars than pianos, but fewer than accordions. Yes, you're funny. I was on an accordion kick for a while, and I amassed quite a collection of accordions, more than my family even knew. And yeah, Some of them had mildew, and the mildew just was not getting any better. Mildew doesn't take care of itself, I found out. It doesn't just die away, and you know, so some of the accordions end up at the dump, not gonna lie. Nice to know you're watching the live stream, son. I saw my wife chime in a little while ago. My son is home for spring break for just not even 24 more hours. We're bringing him back to school tomorrow. But we're gonna have some yummy dinner tonight, and then I don't know, we're all gonna do a puzzle, right? Or we're all gonna watch a movie or something. I bet we're gonna do something fun. One last night before you head back to school, son. Um, any fans out there of the Volkswagen Vanagon? Do you have any Vanagon, especially if you're a Volkswagen Vanagon expert? Because my family is now the proud owner of a sweet 1989 Volkswagen Vanagon because my son is a Vanagon expert. And so if we have any Vanagon, I bet that's a subject you did not expect to come up during tonight's live stream, the Volkswagen Vanagon. We got one. It's running great. We got it from a guy in Rhode Island who took very good care of it. He was not the first owner, but took very good care of it. And we are now, yeah. Remember the Mystery Machine? If those of you who don't know what a Vanagon looks like, just picture the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine. This one happens to be a beautiful shade of like a nice kind of steel blue. But just picture the Mystery Machine. Okay. My son, that Vanagon would hold a lot of accordions. In fact, it would make it really easy to shop for more accordions because it could just put it in the back, and there'd be plenty of room. In fact, I could play. We did a test drive last night. What do you call it after you buy it? I guess it's not a test drive anymore. And I sat in the back when my son drove, and there was so much room. You could have a band playing multiple different instruments in the back of that thing, and maybe we will. Okay. So here's what I want to share with you guys. Okay. When a student is playing and I am listening to what they play, there are moments when I daydream. I've had some very cool flashbacks. I'm just watching someone get used to, playing the way you do G with your middle ring and pinky, right? The way I always bug people to play it. And so, I'm watching them, and sometimes I'm flashing back to childhood. It's actually a beautiful thing. But there's also what I look for. So the reason I am sharing this with you is because you don't need me to look for this stuff. You can look for this stuff. Think of this as a checklist. Okay. And I'm gonna put this on the music stand when I'm done with this, so you guys can see it all in one place. So potentially you could freeze on that when you watch this as a video. If you watch this as a video later, don't forget I'm going to timestamp this whole live stream, so you'll be able to jump right to certain points. Okay. So here's what I'm looking for, and what you should be thinking about too when you begin something new. Okay. So before we begin, here's what I'm thinking. Does my student understand the nature of the piece, whether it's a song, a scale, an arpeggio, an exercise, whatever? Does the student understand what it is? Pretty likely they do. We are playing a song. We are playing a scale. But okay, let's be clear about what it is. Number two, does the student understand the time frame involved? Is it a really easy basic riff that, should really only take you a couple of minutes to understand it, to get it, and really just a couple of practice sessions to master it, if you haven't already mastered it during the lesson? Or is it the other extreme, what I call a masterpiece, something that you begin doing in July so it's ready for Christmas, okay? Or most things are somewhere in between. But have I made it clear what the time frame is? Or if you're doing this without a teacher, which a lot of you are doing this without someone there, meeting for a weekly lesson, I get it. Do you have a sense for how long this thing should take? Maybe you do, maybe you're not quite sure. Maybe you figure I'll find out when I get there. Okay. Do you understand the benefits of what you're doing? Don't get tunnel vision and say, I'm working on come together. For example, that D shuffle pattern, you're going to find a lot of occasions to play the D shuffle pattern. That's a benefit. You worked on come together, but you're getting the benefit of getting good at the D shuffle pattern, getting good at the A shuffle pattern, getting good at power chords. So do you have a sense of the benefits? If you're playing something that might seem like a rudimentary scale. Do you know what you're getting from that? You're getting faster fingers. Maybe you're playing the scale without looking at your picking hand. And guess what? That's developing the radar. I call it the sense of radar in your picking hand. So anything you ever play is benefiting you in some way. Have you stopped to think about that? Those moments where you're super frustrated because you can't do something, and sound just like Jimmy Page or whatever, doesn't mean you're not still benefiting from your efforts. Okay, one more thing. This is the pre checklist. Um, have you identified, or have we identified the groundwork that led you here? Hey, that work you've been doing on A, D, and E chords. Well, guess what? We're going to use those chords to play Louie Louie, or a Wild Thing is a better example because Louie Louie is A, D, and E minor. Wild Thing, A, D, and E. So we say, hey, all that work you've been doing on the chords, don't forget that work is what's leading you to play Wild Thing right now. Or if Wild Thing is coming easily, hey, it's because you worked on the A, D, and E chords previously. So have we or you identified the groundwork that led you here? Do you have any groundwork? Are you doing something that you've never done before, and like you have it's asking you to do skills you've never done before? That's tricky. Okay, so as you're practicing something, or as I'm watching a student do something, here's what I'm thinking about. This is section 2. Section 1 was before you begin. This is section 2, and there's only 2 sections, but this is a long one. Okay. Your fretting hand. You got to commit to fingering choices. Decide which finger is the appropriate finger and stick with that. In general, if you ever play the first fret on your instrument, it should always be your index finger playing the first fret, unless there's a great reason not to. In general, whatever the highest number is, say you're playing a cool little guitar riff, in general, you want to make sure your pinky is going to play that high number, unless it's something you only need 3 fingers for. But there's certain principles to think about. Bottom line is, number 1, make sure you decide what fingers you're going to be using for your left hand, your fretting hand, and stick with those fingers. Number 2, picking hand. You got to commit to whatever the picking pattern is that's indicated, that's written, that you're advised to do, whatever. Stick with that pattern. If it's down, down, up, down, do that exact thing. Don't do some version of down, down, up, down. You got to do those exact 5 downs and ups in that order. Don't change a down to an up and vice versa. Okay. So you got to commit to whatever the right thing is. Okay. Another thing to think about. Another thing that I'm looking for, has my student identified the repeating parts? Is my student aware that that riff at the beginning of Come Together happens 3 more times? That measure of the D shuffle right there is the exact same as that measure? These are really obvious examples, but later in the tune, certain things come back. In terms of Come Together, okay, that G5 at the end of the verse, I'm going to call it at the end of the verse, is the exact same G5 that shows up at the end of the chorus, so to speak. You'd be surprised sometimes people they don't realize that until someone points it out to them, or they don't realize that quickly enough, or as quickly as I think they should. Okay, has my student identified the hard parts of the song? Because as soon as you identify the hardest parts, you want to laser focus on those parts and spend extra time. Isolate those parts, spend extra time on those parts. Has my student made some time to listen to the actual song? We've all heard Come Together, but now you're going to hear it through new ears, so to speak. I understand that if your exercise that you're working on is like a certain arpeggio, you might not have a way to go and listen to someone doing that arpeggio. I get that. You could always ask your teacher, hey, would you play that for me for like 30 seconds? I'm going to record you on my phone, and then you have that to listen to. Those of you who do take lessons from teachers, you should always be asking them to play it for you and record it. It's a great idea. Literally, that's how my YouTube channel started. What? You're saying what? I will tell you more in a second after I hydrate. Many years ago, a student was recording me playing his homework, basically. And then he said, hey, how about if I make a YouTube channel for you, and I'll put those things on your YouTube channel. Then any students, you can make it private, but anyone who wants to watch it, you can just send it to the YouTube channel. I think I'm sure I said okay, and I'm sure I thought whatever. And yet little did I know, right? I'm such a dummy. Little did I know that it would lead to like this community that we have. No, I was naive. Naive. Okay, getting back to our checklist. Um, has the student memorized any aspect of what's going on? Um, the sooner you start memorizing stuff, the better. That doesn't mean you always have to memorize a whole song. Although, hey, if some of you have those kinds of minds, you're good at that. Great, it's a superpower. Some of you don't. That's okay. But you should be able to memorize certain things. You should know that, say, the intro riff happens 4 times. Okay, that's an easy thing to memorize, right? You shouldn't have to stare at the paper and just to play it 4 times, right? You should just memorize it. Or remember that I said, has the student memorized any aspect of the song or the exercise? Or, and this is equally important, can the student play with their eyes on the paper or on the screen or whatever? Equally important. That means you're trusting your hands and you're not memorizing. You're keeping your eyes here. You don't have it memorized, but you can play without looking at your hands. That's amazing. So, win-win situation. Okay, either way is great. But those are things I'm looking for. Like I said before on my checklist, can the students slow themselves down? Do they have the discipline to take a breath and play something slower and get it right? I'm looking for that. I'm hoping. By the way, these are all what I call milestones or mile markers. When I see a student capable of any of these things, I think, check, they did it. They memorized that one section. Awesome. Or they can play that one thing without looking. Awesome. I'm checking these off in my mind. Okay, 2 more. Last 2. Is a student capable of playing through a mistake? Oh, it warms my heart. Nothing makes you think I'm hoping you play it perfectly. I'm not hoping you're playing perfectly because I'm pretty sure you just got lucky. And the next time you play it, you're not going to play it perfectly. But if you did play it perfectly over and over, that also makes me super happy. Believe me, it does. But it makes me so happy that you can play through a mistake. Imagine being a parent and you see your child make some sort of mistake, but they don't fall to pieces. They metaphorically pick themselves back up and they they continue on through this thing we call life, right? It's the best thing, right? Yes. So when I see a student make a mistake and play through it, sometimes I even see the student kind of laugh or whatever, or grunt or make some noise. They acknowledge they made the mistake, but they don't stop playing. It's one of the best of all these mile markers that I'm checking off on from the checklist. I realize I'm mixing metaphors. Oh, checking off a mile marker. I get it. I know. But, oh, okay, last one. Has a student taken the time to record themselves? No, none of you do it. I know. Very few of you ever record yourselves because you don't want to hear. I know. But just saying it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so here's the list. I'm going to take down your come together. What I look for. I imagine this is what's going through the minds of other guitar teachers as they are listening to their student play something, right? When they're not daydreaming about whatever, you know. Um, okay, so the 4 things before you begin a piece, the 4 things I'm thinking about as a teacher is my student, prepared, and then there's the list of things. Okay, so don't worry, I'm going to timestamp this. You don't necessarily have to grab a pencil right now, but it was fun putting this together because um, just like this live stream in general, it's a chance for me to think about my job, and for sure it helps me do my job better. This list right here, just making that list, is making me a better teacher. It makes my job easier. Who doesn't want their job to be easier, right? I could almost like post this, right near where my student and I are sitting, and I could say, "Oh, hey, have you identified the hard parts? Have you done this?" These are questions I might ask my student anyways, but now we can actually go down the checklist. I can actually hand them this checklist, a photocopy of it. Does anybody say photocopy anymore? Probably not. Okay, thank you, folks. All right, now back to your questions. We got just a couple minutes left, and then we'll probably wrap up, you guys. But if you asked a question and I didn't get to your question, save it for next time. You can do what Michael Fisher did, actually, was email me the question during the week. Remember that email address I put? Info. You can email me a question during the week. info@song-bike.com. Okay. some of you might be a little bit shy about asking a question. You guys are killing me. Sometimes I speak with you guys, during the week, because we're doing lessons or in some capacity, and you guys say, well, I'm a little nervous about asking a question, or I'm not sure, like, it doesn't seem like a very advanced question. Like, oh, please ask the question. I need you guys to ask questions. I love coming up with my agenda for different things we'll talk about during these live streams. I love it. It's fun for me. But what will also be fun for me is lots and lots of questions. I love it. Like, such as Jerry Stillwell's question: how many guitars should a person own? Uh, uh, you know, make yourself happy. Make yourself happy. A lot of guitars are investments. Not every guitar has the same investment potential, I know. But, guitars, they can hold their value, and they certainly give us pleasure. And a pizza gives us pleasure, doesn't hold its value. It's gone pretty quickly, relatively speaking. Okay. So Steve, you asked a great question about voice leading. Steve, I hope you're still here. Can you please define the term voice leading? Mhm. Voice leading is playing a chord. I'm gonna answer this as a guitar player would answer it. Fretting a chord in a certain way that makes it both sound good and feel good to change to the next chord. And I'm going to give you some examples in a second. I'm going to try to say that again. But I want to clarify. Starting now, if you guys have never thought about this before, I want you to throw away your notion that any chord that you've learned, like a D chord, say, throw away your notion that that's the only way to play a D chord. There are so many ways of playing a D chords up and down the neck that don't look anything like this. And I'm partly to blame because people take lessons and say, no, okay, here's a chord. That's a D chord. Okay, got it. That's an A chord and so on. And it could be a while before a teacher says, oh, by the way, that's only one way of playing a D chord. There's all sorts of other ways of playing. Okay. So to answer your question about voice leading in more depth, it's important to remember that all those chords you've worked on are simply one way of playing each one of those chords. Okay, so I want to give you a really good example. And I want to make it simple, but valuable. And I'm answering this question as a guitar teacher, guitar player would answer it. I could get all esoteric and talk about principles and principles and principles, and that's great. But that's not the best way to answer your question tonight. Okay, well, I'm going to go for it. But I wouldn't be surprised if I have a better example in the future. Okay, so here's what I'm going to go with. An A major chord done with one finger. You guys might be extremely familiar with this concept because I do talk about it a lot. Because it's just an awesome way to play the guitar. So you know what I'm saying? Instead of doing A major with 3 separate fingers, like we're all taught to do, nothing wrong with that. I'm doing it with one finger. And for my purposes right now, for total clarity, I'm not going to use a guitar pick. I'm going to use my thumb, index, and middle on my picking hand. And I'm going to only play those 3 that I'm touching. So, got my one finger A chord. This does relate to voice leading. Hang in there. I have my thumb on the D string, index on the G string, middle on the B string. Okay, that is an A chord. And life is good. Now, voice leading. Now, the whole premise here, by the way, is that for whatever reason, let's say it's imperative that I play A with one finger. That for some reason, I should not play A with those 3 fingers, But it's not a crazy idea. There's times when you really need to grab an A chord like that because of the context. But that is the setup here. I have to play A that way, okay? If the next chord is D and A and D show up a lot together, I could do this 3-fingered conventional D chord. But practicality and voice leading are two reasons to do D a different way. I'm going to maintain my 1-finger A chord. I'm going to change it into a D chord without changing my index finger. My middle finger is going to come down to 2nd string, 3rd fret, ring finger reaching way over 4th string, 4th fret. If you cannot get this to sound good, that is okay. That's not the point at the moment. The point is that I changed a 1-finger A chord to a D chord by dropping down those 2 fingers, okay? By the way, getting back to things that are good to be able to do on electric guitar, things that are fun to do on electric guitar, very fun to do on electric guitar, and slightly easier on electric than on acoustic. Okay, so remember the whole point here is voice leading. So what's happening? The 2nd string, 2nd fret note from an A major chord is turning into a 2nd string, 3rd fret note. The 3rd string, 2nd fret is staying the same, still the note A. The 4th string, 2nd fret note is changing to the 4th string, 4th fret note, the note F sharp. And that's what's happening as I change from the A to the D. The C sharp on the 2nd string is turning to the D note. The E on the 4th string is turning to F sharp. So why is this, what is this about voice leading? It kind of illustrates, hopefully it illustrates, how an A turns into a D by changing 2 of the notes and leaving 1 the same. Like I said, the C sharp, 2nd string, 2nd fret turns into a D, and the E turns into an F sharp. The A, not coincidentally, which is the 3rd skinny string, 2nd fret, the A note stays the A note even during the D chord. So I'm choosing to do this version of D because the notes that I already have only have to change in a very logical, simple way. And I'll show you an illogical way in a second, or I'll say a less logical way. I think it's less logical to switch over to a total regular D chord. Still sounds fine, but there's a logic. Can you see the logic behind me just keeping what I already have and dropping? I understand there's a physical logic. That's not coincidental. Physically, it's also very convenient. But this is not just convenience. Okay, here's something I would say would be less logical. Well, for sure, we'd all agree it's less logical. There's my 1-finger A, and I'm going to do D way up high, just as a big bar chord up at the 10th fret. Where are we here? 5, 7, 9. You ever have to just count frets? What's throwing me off, in my defense, guitars always have double dots at 12, right? Yeah, except this. That's 15 up there. So there's 12. Okay, I'm back. So can we all agree? A 1-finger A jumping up to a bar chord at 10. It's just not logical. But it also defies the laws of voice leading as well. You know, those 3 sounds, you know, are so far away, not just physically, but musically, they're so far away. It's jarring. It's jarring. And assuming we want to avoid that jarring sound, we would not jump up to the 10th fret, even if we were really good at jumping up like that. It's a jarring sound, you know? Whereas this is, oh, by the way, it's the Start Me Up. It's the Start Me Up riff, right? This is both physically convenient. I'm not saying it's easy, but physically it's convenient. And it's a very graceful, smooth way to turn the 3 notes of an A major triad, an A major chord, into the 3 notes of a D major triad. So I know that went on for a few minutes, but that's my answer to, what is voice leading. A piano teacher would illustrate it differently, and someone who is, if their agenda is to teach you music theory, they would teach it differently as well. And I encourage you to to Google it and see how different people present it. I figured in this community that we have here, illustrating it the way I did would be helpful. Okay, we got to wrap up, you guys. So let's check out our poll. I'm going to end the poll. This is your last chance, everybody, your last chance. But it's pretty decisive. This is your last chance to vote in the poll. The question was, what do you need most? My gosh, I got a little subject in the question. What do you need most to improve your skills? That was the question. This is your last chance to vote. The answers, I limited you guys to 2 answers. The answer choices were, do you need more time or do you need better use of your time? And overwhelmingly, my friends, you all said 78% of you said you need to use your time better. Very interesting question. I did not see that coming. I figured that we're all stressed out, working hard, juggling responsibilities, and that I would have guessed the vast majority, the exact opposite. Vast majority of you said, I just don't have enough time to practice. But that is not what the poll reveals. I love it. Okay, so we're ending the poll. 78% said you just need to use your time better. Love it. Love it. Well, that I can help you with. What I cannot help you with is, you know, juggling life and pursuing a beautiful musical experience. But I can help you with using your time better, and that's one reason why we're even here. And I hope to continue, if you allow me. I hope to continue. Okay, I am going to head home in a moment to have one last night with my son before he heads back to college, and my wife. Um, and I think it's kind of rainy and cold, but that's March in New England for you. You guys, this has been a lot of fun. Uh, don't forget to join me next week. Keep those questions in mind. Email me the questions during the week if you would so inclined. Don't forget to get the free book, the Blues Guide. Go to song-bike.com and get yourself a free copy of it. And then check out the free video on YouTube that accompanies the book. If you're so inclined, check while you're at the website. You become a member of the website, get access to tons of videos not available anywhere else. You can check out all the other books and ebooks available at the website. I hope they all serve you well. I will see you guys next Saturday. We're coming up on the big 4-0. Next Saturday is the 39th live stream. And I don't know, let's do something special for number 40, right? I don't know what. We'll come up with something. Okay, I'm looking around as if something's going to jump out at me. Nope, we're done. All right, you guys. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate all the questions that you guys asked. I will see you guys next Saturday, same time, same place. Be well, play your guitars, make good choices, and I'll see you next time. And this is when I click on the end stream and wait for it, and wait for it, and wait for it. Here we go, and there we go. We are done.